is accelerating into second and in there with a hustle double.
This style of play is infectious.
Swinging a high fly ball, left center field. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. has his second in KC.
Ooh, I'm glad we wear the same jersey. I'll tell you that. He's incredible, though. Young superstar.
The Blue Jays win 3 out of 4 in Kansas City.
I think offensively we're really good, and I think defensively we've gotten even better.
So to be a happy group of Blue Jays on the flight out west.
Anaheim, talent-wise, is one of the best teams in baseball.
Shohei Ohtani.
He's one of the most famous players in the world.
Saddle up, that one is gone. That ball's crushed. Shohei driven center field. Shohei Ohtani staring that one down. Oh my!
He is not of this planet.
Quite a matchup tonight on Sportsnet. It's the Angels and Blue Jays. Vladdy Jr. and Sr. along with Mike Trout, part of a wonderful ceremony on opening day on the home side. It's the Angels' first game at home this year after 2 series on the road. The Blue Jays have been on the road, it seems, forever as we get set for the home opener on Tuesday in Toronto. Here is Joe Siddall. One thing we know about Chris Bassitt last year is after a bad outing, he was always excellent, which is a harbinger, perhaps, of what we might see tonight. What are you expecting?
It's a great trait, and I expect him to be very good. I expect him to be Chris Bassitt, the guy that the Blue Jays signed for 3 years and $63 million, because this is a guy that I think the St. Louis Cardinals just jumped him. It looked very unexpected. He threw some pitches in that first inning that left the ballpark. I wasn't expecting him to leave the ballpark, and I think he'll be a lot better tonight.
Dan and Buck have the call from Angel Stadium in Anaheim. Gentlemen?
Attention to the area behind home plate.
Jamie, thank you very much. Jamie and Joe, Dan Schulman, Buck Martinez, Arden Zwelling here in Anaheim. Opening night for the Angels, and a lot of good stuff going on, including, of course, Vlad Sr. throwing out the ceremonial first pitch to Mike Trout with Vlad Jr. looking on. Then Jr. came in and posed for a picture with Sr. and Trout. Good vibes all over the place on a number of levels. And now time to turn the page and start thinking about the game itself. And speaking of Vlad Jr., look at the numbers that he is putting up. To say that he is locked in the early going this year is an understatement. Jordan Luplow, new to the team, just claimed from Atlanta, makes his Blue Jay debut tonight, a right-hander who is known to hit left-handed pitching, and the Blue Jays will see lefties, Buck, in all 3 games of this series.
Yeah, the first one up will be Patrick Sandoval. He grew up about 20 miles south of here in Mission Viejo, California, and just one start so far. He gave up 2 hits in 5 innings, a home run to Ramon Laureano in Oakland in his first start, but he didn't give up many home runs last year. For the entire season, he surrendered just 8 home runs. Fastball, curveball, and a very good changeup. He is not overpowering by any means. You've really got to think about hitting the ball back up the middle and going the other way. He's going to throw you an awful lot of changeups and sliders primarily. Defensively, let's take a look at the Angels, the way they line up. It's Ward, Mike Trout, and Hunter Renfroe in the outfield. On the infield, their regular third baseman is still serving a suspension. One more game for Anthony Rendon. Gio Urshela, the former Blue Jays, at third. Fletcher and Drury up the middle. Drury also a former Blue Jay. Jake Lamb, he too was a former Blue Jay. And Logan O'Hoppe, the young catcher behind the plate for Patrick Sandoval.
And ready to go is the smoke from the fireworks still clearing over the left center field stands. A beautiful night here in Southern California. The Blue Jays, the last stop of this long season opening road trip before they get home in the wee hours of Monday morning and have their home opener on Tuesday night. George Springer in the box as John Schneider looks on. Patrick Sandoval is ready to go and underway with a first pitch swing and a miss. It is 0-1.
That's a good slider. As we mentioned, you're going to get a lot of sliders and changeups from Sandoval.
Infielders backed up as far as they are allowed to go as Springer takes it outside, a ball and a strike. Usual top 3: Springer, Bichette, Guerrero. Chapman hitting cleanup. 8 righties, and then Kevin Kiermaier, the lone lefty. He's in the 9 spot. This is popped up right side and back out of play.
Well, one thing that really plays in the Blue Jays' favor is the way they're swinging the bats right now. They're using the opposite field. They're staying up the middle. They have hit some changeups on this road trip. Jordan Montgomery on Sunday for the Cardinals in that opening weekend. He threw a lot of changeups, and they got some hits off of it.
1-2 on the way, and it misses down and in. That's the slider again. So the changeup fades down and away. The slider breaks down and in. And he can keep you off balance. Not overpowering, but two terrific complementary pitches. That one bounced in a full count.
Yeah, he tried to throw a terrific slider and bounced it about a foot in front of home plate. He really finished up strong last year, and he's carried that momentum into this season. He had a 1.95 earned run average over his last 11 starts last season.
Three-two, well hit. Deep left field toward the corner. Ward is back, and he makes the catch right up against the fence.
This ballpark is a totally different ballpark at night than it is during the daytime because it really cools off, and I think that's what really hurt George right here. This ball looked like it was going out of the ballpark, but it hangs up for Taylor Ward to make the catch in deep left field. Another good at bat for Springer.
Good contact, but nothing to show for it, and here's Bo Bichette. Bo off to a good start, a week into the season, hitting .324. Has a home run, .784 OPS. The infielders straightening up more on Bichette than they did on Springer, obviously, with Bichette's propensity to use the entire field as he bounces one into the Blue Jay dugout on the right side. The Blue Jays taking the last 3 of the 4-game series in Kansas City. Got here comfortably last night. Big swing and a miss, 1-2. Here's a well-hit ball driven to right center field. And that is going to be off the base of the wall. Picked up by Trout, and Bichette is standing at second base with a ringing 1-out double.
Boy, he stayed back on that breaking ball and drove it off the wall. Great 2-strike hitter. We know what a good 2-strike hitter he is, and you can see it just stays out over the plate. That's his second double of the season. And one hops off the wall in deep right center. Hunter Renfroe has it bounce past him, but Mike Trout's there to back him up to keep Bo at second.
So here is Vladdy, and he got a very warm ovation. Again, this is opening night when the Blue Jays were introduced before the game. He got a very nice ovation. Of course, his dad played 6 years here, won an MVP here, went into the Hall of Fame as an Angel. And little Vladdy used to run around on the field here in Anaheim, just like little Bo Bichette used to run around in Colorado when his dad was the hitting coach. So they've got some very warm feelings for Vlad Jr. here in Anaheim. And it was funny when Senior was throwing out the pitch. He's up in a box now. When Senior was getting ready to throw the pitch, Junior was kind of running sprints on the outfield grass, getting loose for the game.
Artie Moreno there on the left in the red shirt. He's the owner of the Angels. Garrett Anderson is in the dark suit. He does pre and post game TV for the Angels. I'm glad he's getting the royal treatment here tonight.
Bounce back to the mound. Bichette hung up. And Sandoval thought about it, then takes the sure out at first as Bo dives back in safely.
I think Sandoval's a little upset he didn't make the throw to second base. But he probably made the right decision, a little comebacker, and Bo had taken an extra step toward third, so the pitcher turned and thought about it and then decides to go to first. But watch Sandoval's reaction. I got him. No, I'm going to go for the first. And I think if he threw it to second base, they had a shot at getting Bo.
So 2 down to Bichette, still out at second, and here's the red-hot Matt Chapman hitting .481 on the season. Just continues to sting the ball. Left center, right center, straightaway center. Tons of hard contact. And a guy, of course, at the Angels organization would know well from his years in Oakland.
Has 14 career home runs against the Angels. He's hit 10 home runs in this ballpark. That's the third most home runs he's hit in a particular ballpark, behind the Oakland Coliseum and Rogers Center.
And Sandoval strikes him out on 3 pitches as the Bichette double is left aboard. Crowd hitting in the 2 spot for the Angels. Shohei Ohtani right behind him. So it'll be interesting, to say the least, with Chris Bassitt on the mound for the Blue Jays tonight. A look at the Angel lineup, and Trout has very good numbers against Bassitt. 7 for 17, 3 extra base hits. He's got 1 homer against him. Ohtani, by the way, 4 for 22. So Bassitt has fared better against Ohtani, but Ohtani does have 1 home run against him as well. And Bassitt obviously looking for some major strides forward from his first effort as a Blue Jay.
Yeah, his first inning in his first start as a Blue Jay didn't go so well. He gave up 3 home runs and 4 runs in the first inning, including back-to-back home runs to start the ball game. You can see he's calling the pitches from the mound, and he's going to be charged the ball right here out of the chute.
Yep. And the clock has run out. And that's a time violation, says home plate umpire Brian Knight, and it's 1-0 before he ever throws a pitch.
He needs a new transmitter. He says, you call the pitches. Now he says, I'm cool now. Watch out, it's going to be ball 2.
Wow. John Schneider's out of the dugout, and I think what Schneider might say is if it's a technical malfunction of the transmitter, you can't charge him with a ball, but boy, not the way you want to get out of the gate.
Third base umpire Todd Tishner is the crew chief, and he's coming in to explain him. He says, okay, now give him a new transmitter. So, and Bassitt had made up his mind. I don't want the transmitter. Let Alejandro call the pitches.
Right.
Now they're going to run a new transmitter out there. But we saw some of this in game 1, and Chris Bassitt didn't want to talk about it, but it was like there was a little bit of a rush sense, and you know what? Now I think he's just flipped it away and said, you call him. And I think that's the way they should go for a while.
So he's got the receiver in his hat, but it will be Alejandro Kirk calling the signs. Remember as well, Danny Jansen under the weather with a stomach ailment. Kirk has not worked with Bassitt nearly as much as Jansen has. And now here we go to even it up at a ball and a strike.
Alejandro caught him 1 game in spring training and caught 79 pitches, so they've had a chance to work quite a bit, a little bit more than I initially thought. But I think Bassitt needs to think about execution and not worry so much about theory. Just turn it over to Kirky right now.
Shook him off once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, now nods. And this is one of the issues. Bassitt has as many, if not more, pitches in his arsenal than any pitcher in the game. And so Kirk has to try to guess the right one, and if he doesn't, he's got to keep moving quickly to get to the right one before too long. Full count. Only 15 seconds with no runners on base. 3-2 is a curveball down and away for ball 4. So the leadoff man aboard for Mike Trout. Understandably gets an enormous ovation here on opening night in Anaheim. The Angels are 4-2 on the season. Took 2 out of 3 in Oakland and then 2 out of 3 in Seattle. And Trout's off to a great start. He's hitting .368. He's not chasing anything. He's got a .571 on base percentage right now. And he drills one to deep left center field, and it is disappearing into the night. A 2-run homer for Trout to give the Angels an early lead.
Many great hitters after a walk will be very aggressive on that first pitch. And that's what he gets, a first pitch fastball just kind of out over the plate, and he knew it was long gone. Deep into center field. Hit 40 last year.
Now Shohei Ohtani as we get one more look at the swing.
Boy, a very short, very strong, compact swing, and he's got the power to hit it out of any ballpark.
And now 2-0 on Ohtani. 286 with a couple of home runs in the early going. And now Bassett looks like he's having trouble hearing, kind of pushing, had his right hand up on the side of his hat. Fouled off, 2-1.
Ohtani, we mentioned, he hasn't had a lot of success against Bassett. In fact, he's struck out 9 times against Chris. So most he's struck out against a particular pitcher. Verlander and Wade LeBlanc also have struck him out 9 times.
Chased a curveball, and it's 2-2. So a walk and a home run, and it's buzzing here at Angel Stadium in the early going. And up and away, a full count. Ohtani, the most outstanding player of the World Baseball Classic, and of course he struck out Mike Trout to end it as Japan beat the United States in the final. And he got him. Boy, he ran a fastball in there, and Ohtani must have been looking for another part of the plate or looking for another pitch. He couldn't get the bat off his shoulder.
Well, again, Ohtani's not had a lot of success, and that's a good running fastball. It starts inside off the plate. It breaks all the way over to the outer half. He just couldn't pull the trigger.
So 1 down. Here's Hunter Renfroe, who takes outside, ball 1. The Angels making a number of pickups in the offseason to try to surround Trout and Ohtani with more talent. As I think everybody knows, they have never been to the playoffs with this duo of Trout and Ohtani. They were there in 2014 when Trout was there, but Ohtani wasn't. And Hunter Renfroe is one of the guys they picked up as he hits one sharply out to short. Bichette's got it, and a high throw pulls Guerrero off the bag, and Renfroe is safe.
Vladdy's saying don't review it. He didn't tag him, and Bo makes a nice play on the hot shot, but then he hits his glove, and that throws his timing off a little bit. Vladdy tried to swipe Renfroe as he went by, but he couldn't make contact with it, and that ball just came out of Bo's hand and took off on him. That'll be an error on Bichette as he made a good play on to stop it, but then had a shot to throw him out and didn't.
Now Jake Lamb. He's the first baseman tonight for the Angels, and as Buck mentioned, briefly a Blue Jay. He played 12 games for the Blue Jays in 2021. Signed as a free agent in the offseason after he was released at the end of last year by Seattle. Was an all-star with Arizona back in 2017. And a swing and a miss at a ball up. Bassett out in front, 0-2.
It's really going to be interesting to see how they're going to address all of these issues with the pitch comm and the signals and too many pitches. And I'm sure Pete Walker, he's kind of scratching his head right now trying to figure out how he can get Bassett to free up his mind a little bit.
In and out of the mid of Kirk. So Lamb is still alive at the plate.
There's no question that Chris is a terrific pitcher and has been. He's coming off his finest season, 15 wins, a career high, and he had a career high in innings pitched. But Pete Walker, who is back with the club after being away, has been concerned about, the wide assortment of pitches. That's an awful lot of pitches to master, let alone get the pitch selection called through the pitch count.
Weekly hit up the first baseline and foul. Bassett only threw 57 pitches in his first outing of the season because he didn't last that long. And he did throw all 8 of his pitches. Now, some of them he only threw 2 or 3 times, but he does legitimately have 8 different pitches. And you can see he's shaking his head already. Kirk has started asking for the pitch or giving him the pitch before Bassett even gets back to the mound to try to speed it up. Ground ball to Guerrero. There's one, and that is it a foul ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a foul ball as Lamb never got out of the box, hit it off his foot. Evidently, the runner is leaving the field. Renfroe didn't know it. He was heading off the field, and is now being sent back to first base now that he's been made aware.
Yeah, he hit that foul ball off his right foot, and everybody played it as if it was in play.
Got to it quickly here. And again, the 0-2. And it's popped up. And you know what, Buck? This could be in the next 10-15 minutes. This could be the lose a ball in the twilight kind of situation in this part.
Yeah, it's always a tough time of the night here. It's not fully dark, and that ball gets up there, and it's difficult to find it.
Curveball, and it just misses outside for ball 1.
And Chris thought he had made a good pitch, and he just missed the outside corner. You can see Bassett shaking off before he ever gets back on the rubber.
And it goes back to the curveball. It's sent to center, but right there is Kiermaier for the second out.
Now let's take a look at the defense here in the first inning for the Blue Jays. In the outfield, Whit Merrifield is back in left field. The Gold Glover Kevin Kiermaier back in center. Springer's in right. Matt Chapman at third base and Bo Bichette at short. Espinal gets a start. He'll probably playing all 3 of these games with the left-hander starting for the Angels. Vladdy Guerrero Jr. and Alejandro Kirk back behind the plate.
And here's Brandon Drury, another former Blue Jay. Drury came to the Blue Jays in 2018, spent all of 2019 and part of 2020. 2019, the one full season, it just didn't go well for Drury. Hit for some power, 15 homers, but hit just .218. Just never really seemed locked in and comfortable. Last year, split the season between Cincinnati and San Diego, and was the inaugural winner of the National League Silver Slugger for utility players. Baseball adding both a utility Silver Slugger award in both leagues last year and a utility Gold Glove award. And Drury had a big season. 28 homers, 31 doubles, drove in 87 runs, and he's got a Silver Slugger.
Yeah, he had a real good year, and he's parlayed that into an opportunity here with the Angels. And playing second base tonight, he can play second, he can play third, he can play first.
A little bit in for ball 2. And Bassett keeps shaking. Now nods. Still got a few seconds on the pitch clock. And another ball in the air. This one very shallow center field. Kiermaier is there. And the inning is over. But the Angels strike early. A walk to Taylor Ward, and then on the first pitch he sees Mike Trout with a no-doubter. 2-0 Angels.
Inning, but let's talk about what he does on the base pass, because you might remember that hustle double from the second inning on Thursday. Kiermaier hits a dribbler up the middle that is a single for the vast majority of ball players except for Kevin Kiermaier, of course, who ran hard out of the box, got into second base in less than 8 seconds. It was the 5th fastest home to second time so far in MLB this season, would have ranked within the 99th percentile in 2022. Remember, this is with 2 outs. This helped create a run when Bo Bichette singled immediately following Kiermaier and drove him in easily from the second. Guys, I asked Kiermaier after the game, when were you thinking double out of the box? And he looked me in the eyes. He said, I'm always thinking double out of the box.
There's no question, and that's how you make that play. You don't assume the other team is going to make the play, and we've seen it from Kiermaier and we've seen it from Varsho time and time again, and we've talked about it time and time again because it's an exciting, not only is it an exciting brand of baseball, it is a very productive brand of baseball to put the pressure on the other team with your work on the base paths.
Absolutely. And the other team really never knows if he's going to run now. They anticipate he should all the time. You can see him talking about the sky right there in reference to what Dan was talking about, the twilight here. Standing next to Mo, he says, man, this is a tough time of the night. And he had 2 fly balls that he had to catch in that last inning.
Whit Merrifield leading off the second inning for the Blue Jays, and he lines the ball into right field for a base hit.
Well, Merrifield's always been one of those guys that hits the ball all over the ballpark, and we talked about the approach against Sandoval. You're going to have to hit the ball the other way because he's going to throw you that changeup, and he stays right on it. He picks up a leadoff single here.
Well, as you said, the good news is this is the approach the Blue Jays have had for the most part this season. Guys who are willing and able to hit the ball up the middle or the other way if that's what the situation calls for. Alejandro Kirk, of course, is a guy who hits the ball the other way a lot. But you try to pull the changeup and you end up hitting a lot of ground balls to third.
Yeah, and this is a combination where they can play hit and run to start the runner at first base.
Stay out of a double play. Squibber, that is a foul ball.
I think Lamb thought if I can get to that a little bit quicker, it's a fair ball, but it had so much spin on the end of it, and it just spun into foul territory. But it stayed on that first base foul line a long time. Watch how it follows that white line, and then on that spin just takes it into foul territory. And when he touches it, it's indeed a foul ball.
So again, Alejandro Kirk getting the start. Normally it's Danny Jansen with Chris Bassett, but Jansen is under the weather. Was yesterday as well, but played through it in Kansas City, but not in the starting lineup tonight. And it's on the inside corner for strike 2 call. Sandoval, a sub-3 ERA last year in 28 starts. As Kirk lifts one in the air to shallow center. And it's going to drop, but the throw to second is going to force Merrifield. So Drury went back, couldn't make the catch. And the shame of it for the Blue Jays is if he does make the catch, they got Merrifield on first. But now they've lost the fast runner, and they've got Alejandro Kirk on first.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do as a base runner. Remember, we saw a terrific play by Bobby Witt Jr. in Kansas City, and Mike Trout's right there to back it up. Fletcher with the stretch from shortstop makes the play. But Mike Trout came in, and he was standing right there when Drury couldn't make the play. Went off his glove, and Trout is credited with making that fielder's choice.
So Kirk at first, one out. And the batter was Santiago Espinal, who has only started 2 of the first 7 games. But as Buck said, may start all 3 here this weekend because the Angels are throwing 3 left-handed starters at the Blue Jays. Which means, by process of elimination, they won't be seeing Shohei Ohtani as a pitcher. He pitched a couple of days ago. They will see Tyler Anderson tomorrow night and then Reed Detmers on Sunday afternoon. So a good chance hopefully for Espinal to get in a groove, get some rhythm going, because he hit very well against lefties last year.
Yeah, and he's got a kind of swing that he doesn't have to play every day to keep that swing in tune. A very, very compact swing, not a whole lot of moving parts to his swing, and he can sit out for a while and then come right back in and get some good swings. That was one of the better fastballs that Sandoval has thrown to this point, up to 94 miles an hour.
So the bench tonight, we mentioned Danny Jansen, also 3 left-handed bats, Kevin Biggio, Brandon Belt, and for the first time this season, Dalton Varsho not in the starting lineup. And a ball in the air to shallow right. Renfroe is in, and he is there to make the play, 2 down. So now the first at bat as a Blue Jay for Jordan Luplow, who was DFA'd by Atlanta and claimed on waivers by the Blue Jays. He was optioned to Buffalo, but he never physically went to Buffalo. The Blue Jays told him, well, we got to figure out what we're going to do over the next day or 2. So he kind of waited, and then they said, come on to Anaheim. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that the Angels again are starting 3 left-handed pitchers, and Luplow in his career has really good numbers against lefties, so he might start all 3 games in this series.
Yeah, and he was in spring training with the Atlanta Braves. He was 3 for 15 during the spring with a couple of doubles and an RBI.
He's got an .841 career OPS against lefties in 505 plate appearances. And in his big league career, he's played for Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Tampa Bay, and Arizona. He knows a few of the guys. He has been a teammate with Kevin Kiermaier, with Dalton Varsho, with Adam Simber in various spots. Lays off, and it's ball 1.
And Sandoval is using the fastball against Luplow. Looks like he wants to put that in his mind and set him up for a changeup or a slider. But he has used all fastballs to this point in this at bat.
Kirk at first, 2 down. And a swing and a miss as Luplow strikes out, and the side is retired. To the bottom of the second in Anaheim, the Blue Jays down 2-0.
and check out the latest odds for today's baseball games.
Bottom of the second here at Angel Stadium, along with Buck Martinez and Arden Zwelling. I'm Dan Schulman. Glad you're along with us. Angels up 2-0 on the Blue Jays. Another former Blue Jay, Gio Urshela, will lead off this half inning against Chris Bassett. Urshela spent a little bit of time with the Blue Jays in 2018. When he went to the Yankees in the 2019 season, all of a sudden he found it. For a couple of years he hit really well. On to Minnesota and now to the Angels this year. Not quite an everyday player as Espinal makes the catch, but as Buck mentioned, Anthony Rendon is serving the final game of a 4-game suspension for an altercation with a fan in Oakland last week, where the fan was kind of leaning over a railing. It's kind of a bad setup how the players have to walk right by part of the stands to get into the clubhouse, and I don't know what the fan said to him, but Rendon reacted and kind of tried to swipe at the fan. I don't even know if he made contact with him, but he tried, and Major League Baseball levied a 4-game suspension tonight, the last game of that suspension for Rendon.
Yeah, actually it was a 5-game suspension that he appealed. And here's the video. He's got the fan's shirt, and then you can see at the end of it he's going to swipe at him, and the fan was able to get back. But you know, that all looks kind of a setup, because there was a guy with a camera right there. All of a sudden he's just happened to have this camera ready in case Rendon comes by. I don't know, looked kind of fishy to me. And I've been going up and down that tunnel for years, and I've seen more than one of those situations. Those fans are too close.
2 balls and a strike on the young catcher for the Angels, Logan O'Hoppe, as Bassett tries to settle in here in the second inning. They appeal, but no swing. 3-1. O'Hoppe's off to a great start this season. He is the top-ranked prospect in the Angels organization, just 23 years old. The only rookie on the opening day roster for the Angels. And that's outside, ball 4, the second walk issued by Bassett.
But now I think as Chris is calling the pitches now, he's got the transmitter back on his belt, so he's calling the pitches, and there's a little bit better flow this inning for sure. And how many times, Dan, we've talked about over the years about a rhythm for a pitcher. He's got to be into a rhythm. Get the ball, get the sign, get set, deliver the pitch. Everybody wants to have a smooth rhythm out there.
David Fletcher, the batter now, the number 9 hitter in the Angels lineup. He is the shortstop tonight, and quite possibly in the lineup because he is 8 for 21 in his career against Bassett. The Angels have 5, maybe 6 infielders that they can shuffle around when Rendon is in there. So always have a pretty good guy on the bench. Runner is going. Swung on, grounded weakly to third, and Chapman's throw right on the money to Guerrero to get Fletcher. 2 down as O'Hoppe takes second.
Well, Matt Chapman is another Orange County guy, and he is playing not far from his home, and now always on the money with that throw. It's amazing how he can consistently make that accurate throw right into the chest of Vladdy Guerrero across the diamond.
So back to the top of the order for Taylor Ward, a dangerous guy, off to a good start this year. And coming off a season last year, 281, 23 homers, an 833 OPS. Good table setter before you get to Trout and Ohtani. And Chris Bassett would really like to not get to Trout and Ohtani until the 3rd inning. Slow curve, misses low, a ball and a strike. It's kind of 68 to 71 miles an hour. Greinke-ish. Couple of looks at O'Hoppe, and he catches the outside corner, 1-2.
Well, Chris Bassett can pitch. There's no question about that. And it's just all the other things I think that have taken him away from his routine. And he can make pitches, and he can make pitches with a lot of different pitches, but he looks much more comfortable this inning than he did in the first.
What a stop by Guerrero. Back to his feet, and he'll make the play himself. With his dad looking on. Vlad Sr. in the house tonight, and a run-saving play by fact that he won a Gold Glove last year. And on Wednesday, the first 15,000 fans of the ballpark will receive a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Gold Glove bobblehead presented by TD. Visit BlueJays.com/tickets now. And if Vladdy keeps making plays like this, he'll be in the running again this year.
Well, he sure will. He has really even improved from a year ago with his quickness and his good work with the glove.
Kevin Kiermaier leading off the top of the third. A little humpback liner, a one-hopper out to Fletcher at short. One pitch, one down.
Yeah, David Fletcher knew he had to get rid of it quickly, and he did just in time to get Kiermaier.
And now George Springer. And George will still hear it loudly, as you can tell, in American League West Division ballparks from his time with Houston. He hit a fly ball to left field, right to the fence in left. Ward made the catch. Another 2 feet or so, and it would have been a home run. Down and in, 2-0. Looked like the change up there, and out in front hit a ground ball foul up the third baseline, 2-1.
Now Sandoval can throw that changeup any time. He's got so much confidence in it, and you know he pitched for Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. He pitched very well. Pitched twice in that series. His last outing against Japan.
He went around 2-2.
That's the slider, and a good one. And there was a point last year about mid-season where he had lost his changeup. So he really focused on the slider, and that pitch came around for him. The changeup came back, and that's why he was so dominant down the stretch. He had all 3 pitches working.
A high fastball's popped up to shallow right. Drury back, and he'll reach up and make the catch for out number 2. He will throw that changeup. Didn't throw it there, but he will throw that changeup 41% of the time when he is ahead of the count. At least that's what he did last season. So the scouting report on him: heavy changeup, heavy slider. He only threw his fastball 37% of the time last year. 2 down for Bo Bichette, who doubled to right center in his first at bat. And he bounces one to third. Urshela. And the Blue Jays go in order. Patrick Sandoval sharp. 2-0 Angels going to the bottom of the third. Entire career, Mike Trout has only played in 1 playoff series, has never won a playoff game. You've got Trout and Ohtani, arguably, and maybe not even arguably, the 2 greatest players in the game, and you just can't get them in the postseason, and that's because there's not a lot of complementary talent behind them. ESPN did a ranking of the top 100 players in the game. They had Angels at 1 and 2, but nobody else in the top 100. whereas the Blue Jays have to feel good about seeing 7 of their guys in the top 100.
Yeah, and obviously that's how you build a team. You certainly build a team with quality players up and down the order. I think that's one thing that the Blue Jays have done very well. Yeah, you can have 2 great players, but baseball can't be won by 2 people alone. You've got to have a team. You know, Mike Trout played for Team USA in the WBC, and he just was ecstatic with the atmosphere, the excitement, and the chance to play in such a meaningful atmosphere. I think that's why he's off to a good start. All those competitive at-bats in that World Baseball Classic.
Missed about 40 games with injuries last year. Only played 36 games in 2021. So the biggest thing for the Angels is just keeping him healthy. But he's been so good for so long, you kind of run out of ways to tell you how good he has been for so long. But he is still clearly one of the very, very best players in the game. And I'll give you an example. The year that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had 2 years ago, that incredible year, his OPS plus was 167. That matches the lowest OPS plus that Mike Trout has had in his career, other than 40 games in his rookie season. So as incredible as Vladdy was, and he was off the charts ridiculously good in 2021, that's the baseline of what Mike Trout has done over the last 12 seasons.
Trout asked for time there, but when Trout first came up, he actually went back to the minors. They had to send him back to the minors and let him get a few more at bats before he came back. But what a terrific player! You know, he does things on the field that not many people have been able to do. Power, speed, average.
Bassett calling the pitches.
Going to run out of time, and now Kirky's going to save him.
Yeah.
Alejandro Kirk recognized the clock was down to 4 and called time for a meeting on the mound, so they will go out there and discuss this next pitch, not leaving anything to chance.
Right, so you burn a mound visit, but if you don't do that, it's going to be ball 4, and Trout's going to be on base. The 3-2. And he got him, tied him up in a foul tip for out number 1.
Yeah, we mentioned in the open that neither Trout nor Ohtani hit 1,000. You can get them out. You just have to make pitches, and you know the best in the world makes 7 outs and 10 at bats. But you got to just minimize the impact of those hits.
Now Ohtani, who was called out on strikes his first time up. 6'5", 240, immense power. You were covering the event, so I'm sure you know this and saw this, but for those who don't, and I hope I get this right, the World Baseball Classic, he hit a ball harder than anybody else in the tournament, the hardest exit velocity. He threw a pitch harder than anybody else in the tournament, and he ran down to first faster than anybody else in the It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And you know what? You kind of think, wow, I wonder what he'd be like in the outfield. He can really run. He's a great athlete. You could just about ask him to do anything on a baseball field.
And strike 3 called as Bassett gets him for the 2nd time in a row.
And that's the first time in 2 short starts that we have seen Chris Bassett showing the emotion, because when he struck him out, he took off the mound and slapped his glove like, that's what I'm looking for. He mixed up the pitches very effectively, and Ohtani goes down for a 2nd time. He now has struck out 12 times against Chris Bassett, more than any other pitcher he has faced.
So back-to-back strikeouts of Trout and Ohtani. That's going to make Bassett feel a little bit better about things. And here's Hunter Renfroe, who reached on an error his first time up. .60 home runs the last 2 seasons for Renfroe, who was with his 5th team in 5 years. San Diego in 19, Tampa Bay in 20, the Red Sox in 21, Milwaukee last year, and the Angels now.
You might see that and think, man, he must be a bad guy, but he's not a bad guy. He's just like a odd kind of fit. He's got power, but you never really perceive him as an everyday player. But he can really swing the bat, and he's got a lot of power. And he's a terrific teammate. Everybody raves about him when they play with him. And he just had to bounce around. And one of these days, he'll find his place where he can be an everyday player and play all the time.
And he just missed low. Bassett confirming the location with Brian Knight, the home plate umpire. So that's a 2-out walk for Renfroe.
After striking out Trout and Ohtani, he thought he had Renfroe struck out, missed with that sinker. And he's got one of the best sinkers in baseball, although it's not a real hard sinker. It's got late movement, and he can really pinpoint it on either side of the plate.
So that'll get Jake Lamb to the plate. Hit a fly ball to center his first time up. So the Angels, in an effort to get better and make the postseason for the first time in a long time, as we mentioned, they picked up a bunch of guys. Matt Moore, Tyler Anderson, Renfroe, Urshela, Drury, Lamb. None of them stars. There goes the runner. And this one is hit in the air down the left field line. Merrifield jumps, but it's up into the netting. Good effort, but no chance to make the catch.
I think he kind of banged his knee up against that side wall. But he had pretty good bead on it right here, and he might have sprained his ankle a little bit as he used it to brace himself, and you can see he's a bit gimpy when he comes off the wall.
Back out of his position now, a couple of strikes, and obviously the umpire Brian Knight giving Merrifield a chance to get back before the clock starts running, so still some time for Bassett. And a bouncer right at Guerrero. Waits and takes and steps on the bag. And that'll be that. A much better inning for Chris Bassett. Seems to be settling in. And Vladdy will lead it off when we come back to
Guerrero Jr. is about to take a plate appearance, and the results obviously speak for themselves for Vladdy this year, but the thing that's impressing Blue Jays coaches the most is the approach. Vladdy is among the league leaders in contact rate and hard hit rate. He has among the lowest chase rate and swinging strike rate. Dan, this is a guy who has been as locked in as anyone in the game.
There's no question about it, and I think chase rate, of all the numbers, all the metrics you gave us, that one is lined to left and down for a base hit. More good contact. He has not chased at all, relatively speaking. I mean, he has chased some, but much, much less than last year. And by not expanding his strike zone, Buck, he is making pitchers throw pitches in the zone. And if Vladdy gets pitches in the zone, he's going to turn a lot of them around.
He has reached base in exactly half of his plate appearances this year, and that's what you're talking about. He's not chasing those pitcher pitches, and he's forcing them back into the strike zone.
Just one strikeout in now 36 plate appearances for Guerrero this year. Matt Chapman, who has also been hot, struck out his first time up tonight.
The only guy that struck out Vladdy was Ryan Helsley in St. Louis. He struck him out on a 2-2 slider.
And another solid line drive. This one off the bat of Chapman. And it's back-to-back singles. And if you look at the batters in the majors who have hit the most hard hit balls, that's 95 miles an hour or higher, Guerrero and Chapman are 1-2. That is entering this game. They've each just added one to their total. Vladdy's was 111.7, Chapman's 112.5.
Hitting the ball hard means that you're patient, you're getting good pitches to hit, and you're hitting it on the barrel.
Here's Whit Merrifield. He had a base hit to right his first time up. The third baseman, Urshela, even with the bag and kind of hugging the line a little bit. Everybody else backed up. And they play Whit basically straight away on the infield, a little bit around to the opposite field in the outfield.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting where Urshela is at third base, and now he's going to back up a little bit, but there is a big gap between where Urshela is and where the shortstop Fletcher is. Fletcher's kind of playing him a little bit up the middle. Now they're going to straighten it out a little bit more, and Urshela just takes a step to his left, but it was odd how they played him on the previous pitch.
Ooh, he shortened up on the bat, throw down to second or near second, and Guerrero back. But it looked like Merrifield was trying to push one maybe to the right side, but it's 1-2.
That's Merrifield. He pulls the bat back. It's a called strike, and it looked like a bad call. It looked like that ball was off the plate up and away. And then O'Hoppe threw just down to Drury, who wasn't near second base.
In the air to right center, Trout coming on, and he makes the catch, and the runners have to hold. So one down, and that'll bring Alejandro Kirk to the plate. He reached on a fielder's choice his first time out. Strike one called.
It was an unusual fielder's choice. It was a fly ball into center field that Brandon Drury dove for, went off his glove, and then Mike Trout threw to second to force out Whit Merrifield, who had singled.
Got to be a bad feeling as a runner. You just have no way of knowing.
No,
so.
you know, if you're too aggressive, you can get doubled off.
Yeah.
If he catches it, and if you don't go halfway, you know, there's a lot of things that are against the base runner in that situation.
Blue Jays would love to get the bat of Kirk going. That would really lengthen out the lineup. Three balls and a strike.
Happy did a nice job of blocking that ball. It was another wicked slider in the dirt. And he got in front of it. What an oddity. He's catching with both knees off the ground. And he was able to block it. Nice going, Logan.
The count in Kirk's favor with two men on for the Blue Jays. And he takes high, ball four to load him up.
Step up to the plate and take on any DIY project. At Home Hardware Building Centers, we have everything to build anything. Here's how.
Opening game of the series here at Angel Stadium. And the Blue Jays down 2-0 as they bat on the top of the fourth. A meeting on the mound between Ohapi and Sandoval. With the bases loaded, 1 out, and a big opportunity for Santiago Espinal. And a fly ball to right field in his first at bat tonight. He is 1 for 9 on the season. Guerrero is at third. Chapman is at second. Kirk is at first. Way inside, ball 1.
Now here's where you really got to make a commitment to hit the changeup. He's thrown a fastball inside. You anticipate you might get another fastball, but he's going to throw you off speed here.
There's the changeup. 1-1.
Yeah, he has such a great changeup. It doesn't make any difference where he is in the count. He'll throw it any time. And you just have to make up your mind. You got to hit an off-speed pitch. Slider or a changeup.
Fastball taken just low. 2-1. So Espinal has seen slider, changeup, fastball in the 3 pitches.
Yeah, and Sandoval thought that was a strike. Pretty close pitch that he didn't get the call.
A big opportunity here in the 4th inning. Changeup fouled off. 2-2. Ahead in the count, behind in the count, doesn't matter.
No. I mean, he knows who he is.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. He has a 4-13 record pitching in this ballpark with a pretty respectable earned run average of 366, but they haven't scored him an awful lot of runs. He's been staked to an early lead here, but they haven't been able to add on.
That's pulled foul up the third baseline. Guerrero telling Espinal to straighten it out, but that's why if you're the runner at third, you got to be in foul territory. That ball hits you in fair territory, you are out.
You know, I kind of make it sound easy. All you got to do is look for the changeup, but you know, hitters are always geared up for fastball, and when a guy has such a good changeup, you see the fastball arm action, and that ball never gets to you.
Again, the 2-2 and a fastball hit out to second. There's one. Espinal beats it out. And if it stands, it's a fielder's choice and a run for the Blue Jays. Will the Angels challenge?
Phil Nevin has his hand in the air, and they're not going to challenge. And good job by Espinal to beat the throw. He hustled down the line, and that's kind of a off-balance throw that Drury gave Fletcher, and it threw the timing off. But Espinal hustling out of the box as Guerrero comes in to score. Good job by Espinal. And you can see how Fletcher's off-balance throw just takes a little bit too long for him to get the ball on its way.
You know, another thing that's different this year is the time you have to decide if you want to challenge has been reduced. I don't think we've talked about that at all this season. So decisions have to be made quicker. In the past, the umpire would kind of take his mask off, go over to the dugout, say to the manager, do you want to challenge? Now, if you are even considering a challenge, the manager has to put his hand up right away, immediately when the play ends, and a 15-second clock starts. So you literally have only 15 seconds to decide if you want to challenge. Back in safely is Espinal. It might lead to fewer challenges, and it's kind of more in the hands of what's going on in the field, maybe a little bit less in the video room, because you know how much can you see in 15 seconds. Fielder's choice RBI for Espinal. Chapman is the runner at third, 2 down. 1-2 on Jordan Luplow in his second at bat as a Blue Jay. So Nathan Lucas, the corresponding move. He has been sent back to AAA Buffalo. That move by a catcher, the step out first and third call signals. That is not a mound visit. That's fine. The umpires are just saying if you do it quick, that's fine. Get back behind the plate, and then they start the clock. Runner goes from first. The throw down, and Espinal puts the brakes on. They're going to try to score Chapman. Now they got him hung up. And he will eventually be tagged out. So the Blue Jays tried to steal a run, but it didn't work. They get one and trail 2-1. First and third, 2 down. Start the runner. Try to draw a throw. Runner stops, and then you hope to get the runner home from third. What went wrong here?
Yeah, well, what Matt Chapman has to do is he has to bounce off the bag when the pitch is delivered, and then stretch it into a long secondary lead. And as soon as the catcher throws to second, you got to take off full speed. I think he kind of hesitated out of the chute, and you know the whole object is to score the guy from third. You don't care about that runner at second base, and Espy did the right thing. He stopped short of being tagged out at third, but you got to be more aggressive taking your lead from third base. And as soon as the catcher throws, you got to take off full speed.
So it is scored as a caught stealing for Chapman. 4-2, 5-3-6. 5 different fielders in on it for the Angels. As now Brandon Drury leads off the bottom of the fourth. Now a 2-1 game. Drury with a fly ball to center his first time up. And meanwhile, Chris Bassett has not allowed a hit since the Trout homer in the first inning. That's the only hit the Angels have. Unfortunately, he walked Ward before the homer. He's also walked 2 since, but no hits since. And seems to be much more comfortable than he was in the first inning. I mean, he gets assessed a ball before he even throws a pitch, and then the pitch comm isn't working, and they come out and try to sort that out, and who's going to call pitches, and now he's got a new transmitter. And clearly, Buck, he is in more of a comfort zone if he is calling his own game. At least that's the early indication.
No question about it. And you know, he's used it very effectively. He's got a real good rhythm going, and he has done a nice job using all of his pitches. And obviously, he knows what he wants to throw, so he'll call the pitch as he heads up the mound. Once he gets on the rubber, now it's all about execution. Once you tell Kirky what you're going to throw, then you just focus on delivering a good pitch.
I don't know if you have. I've never looked at one of those transmitters up close. I mean, there's a lot of buttons on there.
It's like a remote.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he knows, okay, top middle is this pitch. But also when he pushes the button, he's got a receiver in his hat, and so does Kirk. So let's say he's pushing the button that says changeup, but he meant to push sinker. He'll hear changeup in his hat, and then he would say to Kirk, no, let me do that again.
Yeah.
He's hearing as well, so that reduces the chance of any miscommunication.
Well, and Danny Jansen talked to me about it the other day. We were talking about how do you call 8 pitches with that transfer. He says you can press one button twice, and it might be a fastball in or a fastball away, and there's different things they could you can program it to anything you want.
Right.
I think I could really have fun with one of those things. Why would you throw that?
Well, I think what everybody's wondering is if more and more pitchers start calling their own game. Bassett thought that was a strike, but he was told by Brian Knight it was high. If more and more pitchers start calling their own game, say a young pitcher and a veteran catcher, with a veteran catcher shake off the pitcher and say, no, you're not throwing that pitch. On the appeal, did not go, and that's ball 4. Well, you probably saw a lot of the videos and pictures of what some of the new areas of the Rogers Center were going to look like, including the Corona Rooftop Bar up at the top of the 500 level, the Corona Rooftop Patio, nestled in Toronto's skyline. Live music, signature drinks, unbelievable views. This beautiful space is one you won't want to miss. Get your friends together now. Visit BlueJays.com/outfield district to get your tickets today.
I think I could spend an off day up there one of these days.
Sure.
That would be a pretty good thing to do.
You know what? You could. I'll stay in the booth. You could go up there during a game. We'll get you a little headset. And,
no. I'm all about work, Dan. All about
right.
work. I don't want to go out there when I'm working. I want to go out there when I'm not working.
Well, I'm not saying Hazel May told me that she'd be happy to spend most of a game up there, but I'm not saying she didn't say that.
But if Hazel were to do that,
Yeah.
of course, she could interact with the fans and say, how do you like this place? It's really nice. And
it's got Hazel written all over it.
It sure does. I think that'd be terrific.
Yeah.
But I want to go off there.
Okay. A ball and 2 strikes on Logan O'Hoppe. Boy, good curveball, and O'Hoppe did very well just to tick that one foul.
Yeah, he hit it right off the end of the bat, and Bassett's pitches, they're all crisp right now, and I think, he's gotten this thing sorted out. He had a heck of a side session in Kansas City, and you can see where he made contact right off the end of the bat, way out in front of home plate.
Urshela, the runner at first. And again, the 1-2 and another curveball. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I watched Bassett throw that side session in Kansas City, and he had his uniform on, and he was really focusing. He actually pitched as if he were pitching to Trout and Ohtani during the side session, just to use all of his pitches as he would in a game like tonight.
Runner goes. And the throw down on a bounce off the glove of Espinal and into right center. So that'll be a stolen base and a throwing error on Alejandro Kirk. And you know what I think the really unfortunate part is, Buck? I think it was a strike. But Kirk's coming out of his crouch to make the throw, blocks the umpire's view.
It was a good-looking pitch, that's for sure. And, there's a lot going on for the umpire in a situation like that.
So now the infield comes in for the Blue Jays. It's a full count on O'Hoppe. And down and away, ball 4. That's the 5th walk given up tonight by Bassett. And now you've got one of the best contact hitters in the game in David Fletcher. I mean, he's not a big guy, doesn't have power, but if you want a guy who can put the bat on the ball, this is one of your guys. He'll try to make something happen here with runners on the corners and 1 out.
Another thing he can do, he can push that push button. 1st and 3rd with 1 out, and a lot of teams have done that where they push it right toward the second baseman.
Line down the left field line, but foul by a couple of feet.
Again, after a walk, hitter goes up there thinking he wants to get ahead of me. He wants to get ahead of me. So you look for that first pitch, and he got ahead of it and pulled it foul. But you always think about that. Okay, he walked the guy ahead of me. He doesn't want to get behind me, so I'm anticipating something good to hit.
Crowd buzzing here in Anaheim. Diving back in O'Hoppe. The 0-1. And he does get a bunt down. Bassett throw in time. No. Safe, says Tony Randazzo. Said Guerrero was not on the bag. A run in. O'Hoppe to second, and at the moment Fletcher's safe at first, but the Blue Jays will challenge.
Well, we kind of threw that idea out there that David Fletcher could bunt it, but he wasn't trying to push it to second baseman. He just killed it up the first baseline, and it died in fair territory. Breaking ball, and he hits right off the end of the bat. Bassett makes a heck of a play. He gets the ball to Vladdy. Vladdy was trying to find the base, but Bassett, from his knees, gets the ball to Vladdy. It looked like he had his left toe on the base.
Yeah, or even like the inside of his left foot up against the side or the corner of the bag. Again, very quick decisions have to be made if you want to challenge.
Well, either way, it's going to be an RBI.
Yeah.
Going to be another run for the Angels.
Vladdy had taken a couple of steps in, thinking he might have to retrieve the ball, and then had to put the brakes on, head in the other direction, and try to find the base while he was also looking for the throw. Vladdy thinks he was on the bag. He is pointing out to the jumbotron with all of the other infielders around and saying, "See, he thinks he was on the base." And is he up against the side of it right there? It looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks like he's there in contact,
yeah.
But he comes off it again. But that's, that's the problem. The ruling on the field is safe,
yep.
And you have to see enough evidence to overturn that call. I don't even know if his right foot might have been on the base, on the other side of the base. But this was part of the idea behind the expanded base.
Right.
A little safety issue. And Bassett makes a heck of a play. Vladdy, left foot, right foot's not on the base at all. It looked like the left foot may have been up against the outside of the first base pad. But that was part of the thought behind expanding the bases for player safety on a play just like that.
This is a long one.
Yeah, it is. There's something that they're really looking at. Now Bassett's going to throw a few pitches here.
And there are those people who would say, and I certainly understand it, if you can't, get it one way or the other within a minute or 90 seconds, then it's too close to call and you just leave it with what it is on the field. But this one's, we're into a couple of minutes now, it feels like. It looks like maybe some information's coming in now. Tichenor, who is the crew chief, will turn and face behind home plate towards the press area when he makes the announcement. Guerrero's upset. So that'll go as a bunt single for Fletcher. 3-1 Angels, would have been 3-1 either way. First and second, one out.
So Fletcher's credited with a base hit and an RBI. Urshela comes in to score.
And now it's the top of the order. Taylor Ward, who has walked and scored and grounded out. Back to the mound, through the mound. Espinal steps on second, throws to first, and that is a huge play, a double play to end the inning and keep Trout and Ohtani from coming up.
Bunch to drive from Patrick Sandoval. That's Guillermo Martinez, the Blue Jays hitting coach, who might just be telling his hitters to fall back on the approach that they've been using all season long. So far this year, we are seeing the Blue Jays go to the opposite field an awful lot. They're making a lot of contact. They're taking their walks and getting on base, and they are stubbornly refusing to expand the zone. It's a chilly night in Anaheim, and the ball may not be flying very well. So the Blue Jays may want to rely on this approach to score these runs they need to get back in this game. Tonight, we've already seen Bo Bichette hit an opposite field double with 2 strikes in the first. We saw Whit Merrifield dunk a single the other way in the second. We'll see if the bottom of the Blue Jays lineup can keep that going here, Dan.
All right, Arden, thank you. On to the 5th, 8-9-1. Luplow, Kiermaier, and Springer coming up. A 3-1 lead for the Angels, despite the fact the Blue Jays are out hitting them 4-1. But Bassett has walked 5, and there have been 2 Blue Jay errors in this game. We have a timing violation. Who was that on? Was that on the pitcher?
Yeah.
Okay, on the pitcher. So it is ball 1. And now it is 2-0 on Luplow. Really quickly, they did not credit Fletcher with an RB with a base hit on that bunt. Guerrero was charged with an error on the play. So Fletcher is credited with a sacrifice and an RBI, but Guerrero is charged with an error as well. Tough error, I think.
Very tough error, and I'm not sure if that's the right call, because Bassett had to throw from his knees. There was a lot going on down there, and Vladdy himself felt like he had made contact with the base, and it should have been an out.
Grounded out to second. Drury has it, and Luplow's retired, 1 down. Big crowd, of course. It is opening night here in Anaheim. It's a night game again tomorrow, and then a day game on Sunday before the Blue Jays fly back home. Kevin Kiermaier's 0 for 1 on a ground ball to short. So he's the lone left-handed bat in there against Sandoval. Varsho will be back in there tomorrow. You know, John Schneider didn't want to sit Varsho, but 3 lefties in a row, 9 games in a row, trying to give everybody a little rest, trying not to give anybody too much rest. So sometimes you got to make a decision that maybe you don't want to make, but Varsho will be back in there, I'm sure, over the next couple of games.
Left-handers last year hit just 151 against Sandoval, and when you think about it, the left-handers that stay in the lineup are pretty good hitters.
Yeah.
And it tells you how tough he is on lefties.
And 3-1 on Kiermaier, who in a very, very, very small sample size is 3 for 6 against lefties this year. I'm sure he's looking forward to getting to Toronto. He has been there a lot as a visiting player with the Rays over the years, but now he's going to make a turn in the other direction out of the elevator and get a nice big locker in the home clubhouse, check out all the facilities. And a looper that will drop out in shallow center field, a base hit for Kiermaier.
Well, he's had a good start to his season, and that's what you want to do when you're facing tough lefties. Just give yourself a chance for a hit. Cuts his swing down and flares it over Fletcher's head in front of Mike Trout. So he starts hitting with, well, a 1-out single here. And now turn the lineup over for George Springer.
It was 0 for 2 on a fly ball to left and a pop up to second. Angels 3, Blue Jays 1, top 5. And a good play by O'Hoppe. He's got to be agile with that slider breaking down and in on the righties as hard as it does. Springer looking for his first home run of the season. Almost had it in the first. A bouncer to third. Throw to second, and that's all they'll get as Kiermaier is forced.
Yeah, Scheller had a little trouble getting the ball out of his glove, and when he did throw it, it was down and away to Drury, who made a nice play just to catch the ball, and they were able to get the lead runner. A little bit of a hesitation by Urshela in the glove, you can see he takes an extra step, and Drury made a nice play. And ball down and to the outside of second base. They're able to get the force runner, but that's it.
So now with 2 down, it'll be Bo Bichette. Bo was 1 for 2, had a double to right center back in the first. Interesting, before the game, Bo visited with Troy Tulowitzki, who is here, along with his son Taz. We'll probably get into it a little bit more later on or tomorrow night, but when Tulowitzki was a Rocky, young Bo Bichette, 10-11-year-old Bo Bichette was running around. Dante, his dad, was the hitting coach for the Rockies, and Tulowitzki remembers Bo as a kid coming out to the field and really falling in love with baseball and wanting to follow Tulo around and take BP. And now today, Tulo's son Taz was on the field. He's a 10-year-old and apparently quite a ball player, and he was hanging out with Bo Bichette. And Bo was talking to him, gave him some wristbands. So like full circle, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It goes around, and that's Bo remembers hitting with the Rockies as a kid. He had a chance to take batting practice with them. And Tulowitzki always talked about how they thought, oh, this kid's going to turn into a pretty good player.
This is going to be a tricky play. That's a fair ball. And out at first. And the Blue Jays don't have a challenge, right? They used it and lost it on the last play, so it is what it is. Big stretch, good play by Lamb. Bichette and the Blue Jays retired. Let's go back to the studio now and get an update with Jamie Campbell. And everything would have to be done well from the Angels' perspective to get an out, and it was done well on both ends.
Well, it sure was. Urshela unloads it in a hurry, and look at the effort by Jake Lamb across the diamond. He goes into foul territory, but maintains contact with the base. Bo thought he was off the base, but the Blue Jays didn't have a challenge. They lost that on the previous challenge.
Kind of a frustrating 4.5 innings for the Blue Jays so far here tonight, but it's just a 2-run deficit. Mike Trout leading off the bottom of the 5th. Trout with a 2-run homer in the first, and then he struck out in the third. And a little chopper back towards the mound. An easy play for Bassett, and Trout retired, 1 down.
Well, and Bassett is certainly taking control of his game. He's using his pitches very effectively. He is gathering his thoughts before he calls the pitch. He has handled Ohtani very easily. He has been called out on strikes both times he's come to the plate.
Curveball yanked into right field. That's a base hit. And Ohtani aboard for the first time tonight.
Ohtani has a beautiful swing, obviously, but watch how he kind of swings and just follows that pitch into right field. And he's so balanced and so quick. He saw the curveball out of hand, didn't take any stride at all to acknowledge the off-speed offerings from Chris Bassett. He didn't take a step at all.
Here's Hunter Renfroe, who's reached on an error and has also walked. And fouled back. Ooh, just below us.
Just
coming in hot.
A little bit below us.
Yeah, a little bit below us, and that's just fine.
We don't need any souvenirs.
No. Zach Pop now up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. Because of the walks, Bassett's pitch count has gotten up there a bit. He's at 86 right now through 4 1/3. Ohtani the lead, not going, and it's down and away, ball 2. And Ohtani draws a throw. I think these two really like each other. Every time you see them together, you see that. You see them both smiling.
And I think they have mutual respect for one another, and they like to compete.
A sky-high pop-up back of short. Bichette makes the catch, 2 down. We'll grab a cocktail and hang out above the visitors' bullpen in the catch bar. Unprecedented views to catch all the action up close. This space is an ode to many of the great catches that have been made throughout the years at Rogers Center. So why not get yourself some tickets today? Visit BlueJays.com/outfield district. 2 down. Ohtani still at first. Jake Lamb 0 for 2 as Bassett tries to at least get through 5 here tonight. Changeup outside for ball 1. According to StatCast, Bassett has thrown 7 different pitches tonight. The sinker the most. He's thrown over 30 of those, down to throwing the cutter 3 times. He has thrown the slider, the sweeper, the curveball, the changeup, the 4-seamer, and the cutter, and that's who he is. And another pop-up. This time it'll be Chapman. And he'll make the catch to end the inning as Bassett is through 5. In Canada, doubleheader coming your way tomorrow night. It'll be the Habs and Leafs, followed by the Flames and the Canucks. It all gets underway at 6:30 Eastern, 3:30 Pacific on Sportsnet, CBC City, and Sportsnet Now. We've also got another game tomorrow night for you between the Blue Jays and the Angels. We're going to the top of the 6th in this one. Angels 3, Blue Jays 1. And Guerrero, Chapman, and Merrifield coming up here against Sandoval. And another base hit for Vladdy. He is 2 for 3.
He can just hit. I don't care where you are, who's pitching. He has the ability to hit the ball all over the ballpark. 105 miles an hour once again. And, you know, they look like ground balls, but they are hard hit, sharply hit ground balls. And another pitch right out over the plate, middle of the plate. When he has eliminated the chase, he has become a pitcher's nightmare.
Leadoff base hit. Here's Matt Chapman, 1 for 2. Takes the change up and away, ball 1. And a fly ball to center field. Well hit. Trout going back and makes the catch up against the wall. The second time that a Blue Jay has hit a ball basically to the fence tonight, and the second time an Angels outfielder has made the catch.
Yeah, we talk about this ballpark at night. It's cool. The ball doesn't carry. This looked like a home run off the bat. Chapman thinks he got enough of it, but Trout's going to run it down. Mike Trout plays deep in the outfield, and he's able to run that one down about a stride short of the wall in center. But that has been the history of this ballpark for as long as it's been here. Boy, that marine air comes in at night and the ball just doesn't jump. Springer hit one in the first inning. Looked like it was a home run.
According to StatCast, that ball was hit 404 feet. But Trout got there. A grounder up the middle. Shoveled to second for 1 and not nearly in time at first. The ball did not go out of play, though, so with all that, it'll be a fielder's choice for Merrifield, 2 down.
Yeah, it was an odd throw for Brandon Drury, the second baseman, got him over his shoulder, and he never could get turned around completely. That ball kicked off the mound, and you can see Drury's throw. He never got all the way turned around, and it's off the mark, but fortunately stays in place, so Merrifield is still at first base.
With 2 down now for Alejandro Kirk, who has reached on a fielder's choice and reached on a walk. Blue Jays out hitting the Angels 6-2, but trailing 3-1. Lots of day games today. A lot of teams had their home openers today. The Orioles defeated the Yankees 7-6 at Camden Yards. Tampa Bay won again. The Rays are still undefeated. They beat Oakland 9-5. Red Sox didn't play today. One and one on Kirk. And now left-hander, veteran left-hander Matt Moore, who has made a nice transition to the bullpen the last couple of years. Looked like it was kind of nearing an end for him as a starter, but into the bullpen he goes, and he's an effective guy. That one will bounce away from O'Hoppe, and Merrifield safe at second. And is he okay?
I think he might have got tagged in the face. Brandon Drury trying to put the tag on him, and you can see Merrifield feeling the effects of that tag play. O'Hoppe's a good-looking young catcher. Gets on this ball quickly. You can see when Drury slaps that tag on Merrifield. Looked like he might have hit him with his glove, but it was after the fact. He was already safely into second.
On a wild pitch, so a runner in scoring position, 2 down. And 2-1 the count on Kirk. And a grounder to second. And that will do it. The Blue Jays will leave another man on. And trail 3-1 going to the bottom of the 6th. Amazing April Jays Care 50-50 jackpot, which is over $233,000 and continuing to climb. There are 11 early bird prizes as well. And this is going to keep going and going throughout the month. Don't miss your chance to win. Get your tickets from anywhere in Ontario at BlueJays.com/50-50. There's a Vlad Sr. fan in the house. And again, for those who weren't with us earlier, Vlad Sr. throwing out the ceremonial first pitch to Mike Trout before the game. And then Senior, Trout, and Junior posed for a pretty cool picture. Just because it was cool because the three of them were in it.
All number 27.
That's right.
That's pretty cool.
One Hall of Famer in Senior, one lock Hall of Famer in Trout, and one guy who's still in the early stages of his career, but if it all goes well, he could join them in Cooperstown one day.
Yeah, here's when Vladdy came over to get into the picture as well, and gives his dad a big hug, and then says, no, Dad, you got to be in the middle.
That's the best part, yeah, right there. And a time violation on Bassett will put a ball on the count, so it is 1-2. Second one of the night. Out of play. So Zach Pop was up in the 5th inning, but Bassett got through that. Looks like he is up again. Bullpen is ready if needed. Kind of batter by batter right now, it looks like, for Chris Bassett to stay in this game as Pop looks on.
94 pitches for Bassett.
And he got him. Strike 3 called. 4th strikeout of the night for Chris Bassett.
He got Trout once, Ohtani twice, and now Brandon Drury to start the 6th here. And another called strike. And, you know, that's the benefit of throwing 8 pitches. You don't know what to look for of a hitter, and then he can drop that sinker on you. And he's done a good job of mixing his own pitches up very effectively tonight. Much better rhythm once he started calling his own pitches, and they ironed out the pitch count. They had some issues with it in the 1st inning, and it was just kind of a frustrating situation. I think everybody got rushed a little bit. Then he threw a first pitch to Mike Trout with a man on and gave up a 2-run home run.
Gio Urshela has popped up and walked. So when Anthony Rendon returns tomorrow, Urshela goes into more of a utility role. They've added some depth. There's no question about that. But it's not going to be easy for this team to make the playoffs. Again, they are better. Their pitching looks deeper as well, but Houston is Houston. Seattle, you would figure, is going to be a good team. They certainly were last year. There's no reason to think they won't be this year. And boy, Texas made some splashes again in the offseason. The Rangers making some noise.
Yeah, the Rangers appear to have pretty good pitching staff. Of course, when you add Jacob deGrom, chances are you're going to improve.
Yeah. There's Phil Nevin. Interesting spot for Nevin. Remember, Artie Moreno, the owner, said he was going to explore the possibility of selling the team, and then he backed off on that a few months later. And Nevin, who took over for Joe Maddon on an interim basis last year, was then signed to a 1-year extension in the offseason. Kind of unusual. Usually you're either not invited back or you get a multi-year deal, but it is a 1-year deal for Phil Nevin as manager of the Los Angeles Angels.
It probably has more to do with the team situation than Phil Nevin's situation. You know, if you were going to sell the team and you seem to back off of that, at least you wouldn't want to have that extra year for the new team. And of course, that's the general manager, Perry Minasian, formerly of the Blue Jays and the Atlanta Braves.
With Albert.
Yeah.
Right. Another foul off.
Albert's been put into a position as a advisor for this ball club. He signed a 10-year contract after he left St. Louis.
I'll tell you, got Albert Pujols in the house, got Vlad Sr. in the house, got Troy Tulowitzki in the house. Got a lot going on tonight. Ground ball to the right side. To his left is Espinal. Steadies himself and makes the throw. 2 down. 103 pitches, but it looks like John Schneider is going to give Bassett a chance to finish off the 6th if he can get Logan O'Hoppe.
Well, I think Bassett, too, feels like it's his responsibility. He always talks about pitching deep into a game, no matter how the game is going for him personally, because he feels like if he can do his job and pitch into the game, it saves innings out of that bullpen for down the road. I think Chris thinks he's been squeezed a few times in this ball game tonight, too. He's made some pretty good pitches and didn't get the call.
If you look at how the runs scored, the walk to the first batter of the game, and again, it started with ball 1 on a timing violation before he even threw a pitch, and then as Buck said, first pitch to Trout got hit out of the ballpark. And then the run that scored in the 4th, there was a walk, a stolen base, a throwing error, another walk, a bunt. They only have 2 hits tonight. So, I mean, this is definitely progress. There's no question about that.
There's another pitch, and you can see Bassett said that was a strike. And he didn't get a call again. A good fastball. He's had good command of his fastball. And he's really worked over the outside part of the plate. And he's so much in a better spot in this game. I mean, you know he's trailing. He's pitching here in the 6th inning, but you can see his body feels good about what he's done. By the way he's pitching. Naturally, he wants to cut down on the walks, but I think he will take an awful lot out of this start.
Timeout taken by O'Hoppe. 108 pitches for Bassett, the most any pitcher has thrown in a game this year. Shohei Ohtani, 111. And number 109, likely the last one of the night for Bassett as he strikes out O'Hoppe. And he got through 6 tonight. Off the mound, and remember, only working with Alejandro Kirk tonight because Danny Jansen is under the weather. And a hug and some pats on the back. Things got better and better, and who knows what the outcome of tonight's game will be, but definite progress and something to build on if you're Chris Bassett.
No question about it, and you could see he was appreciative of the effort he got from his catcher, and then everybody was welcoming back into the dugout. He finished up on a real positive note, and that's going to carry forward for sure. Another left-hander into the game after Sandoval goes 6 innings. It's Matt Moore, who came up as a 22-year-old in 2011 with the Tampa Bay Rays. He was a starter early in his career, suffered some injuries, and now he seemed to really grasp onto that closer's or relief role. Last year in Texas, he was terrific in this role.
Santiago Espinal leads it off. Espinal's 0 for 2, did pick up an RBI and a fielder's choice back in the 4th, the only run the Blue Jays have. Moore, the last few years, has really bounced around. Texas, Detroit, Philadelphia, back to Texas, now with the Angels. But if you're a left-handed reliever and you're still effective, you may bounce around, but you can bounce around for a while at the big league level.
Jesse Orosco couldn't be reached for comment. He pitched
He's probably
forever.
still bouncing around somewhere.
He was great,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
And a timing violation on Moore, so that is ball 3. I think that's the 4th tonight, 2 on each side. And a strike.
Matt Moore still throws hard. Good fastball at 94. He threw a curve and a changeup.
And good contact from Espinal as he comes up with a base hit to get it started here in the 7th.
Espinal getting a start. Gets that high fastball and he gets on top of it and rips it into left field. Good start here.
Mark Budzinski with a little bit of information for Espinal. Jordan Luplow is up for the 3rd time tonight, 0 for 2 so far in his Blue Jay debut. He went around. It's 0-1. He's got some power. Has never really been a guy to hit for much of an average. .213 career, but an .841 career at bats. He's got 45 home runs. And again, most of his damage, his much better numbers, have come against lefties. Oh, and 2. Espinal the lead at first, being held on by Lamb. And the 2-strike pitch from Moore swung on and missed. Got him with the fastball, 1 down.
High fastball as Luplow strikes out for a 2nd time. Moore elevated that heater. And he gets the strikeout.
So now Kevin Kiermaier, 1 for 2, had a base hit to center his last time up. See how John Schneider plays it tomorrow. Varsho will be back in there, maybe with another lefty on the mound. Maybe Kiermaier gets the night off tomorrow with a day game coming on Sunday. The Blue Jays close at first. The Blue Jays very determined to keep people as healthy as they can, especially the guys who have injury histories. Kiermaier does, Springer does, Belt does. A fly ball to shallow center and an easy play for Trout. Guerrero, Bichette, and Chapman will play a ton. Now Vladdy's going to DH a lot, but Guerrero, Bichette, and Chapman, if everything goes well, they'll be in there almost every day. But there will be some time off for just about everybody else as Phil Nevin is on his way out to the mound. And we'll make a change with the top of the order coming up. Jimmy Herget, a right-hander. He is funky. And closer to playing at home. It starts 4 days from now on the 11th, Tuesday night, with the Tigers in town, as the Blue Jays are really looking forward to getting back home and playing in front of the best fans in baseball. Experience it starting Tuesday. Get your tickets today at bluejays.com/tickets. Saw a bunch of folks in town here who are from Alberta, Oilers fans. The Oilers were here playing the Ducks a couple of nights ago, and a lot of folks kind of double dipping, came down to the Anaheim area to see the Oilers play the Ducks, and also Blue Jays fans from out west and came down to see the Blue Jays play the Angels. That's a good few days. George Springer facing Jimmy Herget, a right-hander who had a very good year for the Angels last year. Had a .248 ERA in 49 appearances, as George Springer bangs one into right field for a base hit. Espinal up to second, and the tying run is aboard for the Blue Jays with 2 down in the 7th for Bo Bichette.
Yeah, they're in a good spot right now as Springer gets a hit. He is 1 for 4. Hits that ball beautifully to the right side of the infield. Espinal can only move up to second, but now Bo Bichette will step in. Bo had a ringing double to the wall and right center back in the first inning.
That's the only extra base hit the Blue Jays have tonight. 7 singles and a double. Espinal at second, Springer at first, 2 down. Let's see that frisbee breaking ball. He must be really, really tough to pick up for a right-handed batter.
Yeah, he's kind of funky delivery, little interesting arm stroke, and he throws a fastball. A lot of sliders from Herget.
Slashed foul right side, just beyond the Blue Jay dugout. It's 1-1.
That's always a good sign when Bo hits foul balls like that, because he hit that one right on the barrel. His hands were inside. He hits it really good, but he was just a little bit behind it.
And he hits one high and deep to left center field. Ward is back at the wall. It is gone. Bo Bichette with his 2nd home run of the season, and the Blue Jays have taken the lead.
So many pitchers get fooled when they see that swing of Bo on the previous pitch where he hits it over the Blue Jays dugout. Time and time again, he'll come back and hit the next one. Home runs are for buds. That's what buds do. And you talk about a timely home run, a 3-run shot here in the 7th inning. What a blast for Bo. 2 extra base hits, another multi-hit game for Bo Bichette.
And their first lead of the night. Boy, it has felt like they've been kind of swimming upstream all night long. Not a lot going right, and one huge swing of the bat turns it all around.
That breaking ball stayed on the inside part of the plate, and Bo hammered it.
Talking it over with Kevin Biggio and George Springer. .415 feet. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is 2 for 3 with a couple of singles. And Herget gets some swinging. Just the 2nd time this season that Guerrero has struck out. But the Blue Jays have the lead going to the 7th inning stretch, as Bichette rides it right on out of here, and it's 4-3 Blue Jays. On for the Raptors, the final game of the regular season, Sunday afternoon at 12:30 Eastern Time on Sportsnet and Sportsnet Now, as the Bucks come to town. And that'll be the Raptors hosting the Bulls in the 9-10 game as part of the play-in tournament. Meanwhile, it's a whole new ball game here in Anaheim. It is 4-3 Blue Jays going to the bottom of the 7th, and Jimmy Garcia is into the game.
Jimmy Garcia has done a nice job. His numbers a little inflated early on when the relievers don't have many innings of work. That ERA can get kind of ugly, but he's throwing the ball well. Picked up a win on opening day in St. Louis, and now how about Chris Bassett? He's in line for the win. He did a great job of finishing up, and Bassett was terrific tonight, despite the fact that he walked 5 and gave up a 2-run home run. He was in line to pick up a win. Bo Bichette doing the honors, a 3-run shot to left field. Bo has a double and a home run in this game tonight. The Blue Jays have the lead.
John Schneider, Don Mattingly considering their options going forward here. Garcia to face the 9, 1, and 2 hitters, Fletcher, Ward, and Trout. And if anybody reaches, that would mean Ohtani would come up. Fletcher officially 0 for 1, a ground out and a sacrifice, as Garcia misses just up and away for ball 1. Infielders back, outfielders well around to the opposite field, way around to the opposite field, as Fletcher looks at a strike.
This is a key at bat in this inning, the number 9 hitter before you get to the top of the order. You want to retire him and give yourself a chance to have a good inning. There's some tough hitters top of the order.
Yeah. You know, there aren't many guys like David Fletcher around in the game anymore. You know, middle infielders just put it in play, try to get on base, play some solid defense. You and I connected with a former Blue Jay who was in the park today. This kind of a player, Craig Graybeck, was in the ballpark today, and Craig Graybeck was like a David Fletcher.
Yeah,
right?
he sure was. And what did he say? The 91, 92, 93, he was with the Blue Jays and came up and played with the White Sox for a while, but he's that type of player.
And a swing and a miss. A guy who is tough to strike out just struck out against Jimmy Garcia, and it gives us an opportunity to look at Chris Bassett's line tonight.
2 hits, and one of them was a 2-run home run. The second batter of the game, Mike Trout. The other hit was Shohei Ohtani, hit a curveball into right field for a 1-out single in the 5th. He walked 5, but boy, oh boy, he looked so good tonight because he was able to get into a rhythm. He had some issues early on with the pitch com. He sorted things out. He and Alejandro Kirk did a nice job of keeping the Angels at bay, and then Bo Bichette gives them a lead with that 3-run home run.
Taylor Ward 0 for 2 with a walk.
That's one thing I really love about Chris Bassett. His idea is, I don't care how many runs I give up, I'm going to stay out there and keep my team in the ball game. And certainly with this ball club and the offense the way it is, you stay out there long enough, you've got a chance to win games. In fact, Henkin always talked about Jack Morris when he came over. Henkin was a young pitcher, and he said, "Kid, you know how you win in this league? You stay out there longer than the other guy." And that's what Bassett did tonight.
Right. Threw 109 pitches, and 5 pitches into the game, it was 2-0 Angels. So to throw 104 more pitches and get 18 outs and only allow 1 more run, again, definite progress for Bassett. 3-2 to count on Ward.
He might not look like it, but he's a warrior. He's a tough guy out there, and he just wants to battle and battle and battle. And yeah, he was very frustrated after that first start. He'd never been hit like that.
High in the air to center field. It is playable. Kiermaier is there, and Ward is retired, 2 down. Bringing up Mike Trout, the guy who was responsible for that 2-run homer back in the first.
A first pitch fastball from Chris Bassett after he walked the leadoff man Taylor Ward. And it was a no-doubter deep over the fence in left field. His second home run of the season. But that's a long list.
Yeah.
Pitchers that have given up home runs to Mike Trout.
He's also struck out and grounded out. He is in the 5th year of a 12-year contract that runs through the 2030 season, and he has said openly and loudly he will do anything he can to convince Shohei Ohtani to re-sign here with the Angels. Boy, is that going to be a story. Ohtani's free agency. Now a high fly ball to right, but lots of room out there. George Springer is there, and how about a big 3 up, 3 down, bottom of the 7th for Jimmy Garcia. Let's go back to the studio for a Blue Jays. Next visit to the ballpark. Buy and manage game tickets, redeem offers, access exclusive content, and much more. Download it today. Better than 44,000, a sellout here on opening night at Angel Stadium. Used to be called the Big A. They don't really call it the Big A anymore, do they? You call it the Big A?
No, Angel Stadium, but the Big A has moved. It used to be out in center field.
Yeah.
You can see the Big A all the time.
Here's Andrew Wentz, a right-hander, into the game out of the Angels bullpen.
He got a big arm, and he is in here trying to keep it a 1-run game. Blue Jays have the lead. They've out-hit the Angels 9-2.
Made 42 appearances for the Angels last year with a 3.22 ERA, particularly tough on right-handed batters. And he faces one here. Will likely face 3 of them. The first one is Matt Chapman. Chapman is 1 for 3, line to base it to left in the 4th. Kind of a funny season series between these two teams last year. They played 7 games. The Blue Jays won the season series 4-3 as Eric Swanson gets up. What was funny about it, and I don't mean funny haha, like funny peculiar, all 7 games were won by the road team. The Blue Jays came here and won 4, and then the Angels went to Toronto and won 3. Home team didn't win a single game. And a high fastball to get him swinging, 1 down.
94 with the heater upstairs. He retires the first batter here in the 8th inning. And then struck out on a changeup his first time up. 1 for 4. He hit He hit one of the longest balls you can hit and not be a home run in this ballpark back in the 6th inning to center field.
Whit Merrifield is 1 for 3. We got to keep our eye on this guy, Buck. I was talking to him today. I think you and I talked about it. There was a pop-up for Merrifield in yesterday's game, and there was a runner at first, and I wondered,
he was going to drop it.
Is he thinking about letting it drop? So I asked him today in the clubhouse, and he said, yeah. He said you kind of keep your eye on the runner, but it's not just that. He said, let's say there's a very fast runner at first and there's a slow runner at the plate. Even if the slow runner is running, I'll let it drop and I'll force the fast runner at second so he gets replaced by the slow runner. I mean, he's a thinker out there, and we got to keep our eye on this guy.
Yeah, you can see him in that play you were talking about. He kind of took a peek at the runner running from home, and you know, you just never know where that ball's going to bounce. You know, you'd like to be able to be really sure where it's going to bounce, but should you let it drop?
"3-2." And he hit it off the end of the bat to shallow center field, and there is Trout, who's had a busy night. 2 down. So now Alejandro Kirk, who was 0 for 2 with a walk. And that stays high, 2-0. Big night at the plate for Bo Bichette, a 3-run homer in the 7th to turn a 3-1 deficit into a 4-3 lead. And now deep in conversation with Alek Manoah. 3-0 green light and a roller to third. Urshela. And the Blue Jays go in order to the bottom of the 8th. 4-3 Jays. Blue Jays baseball partnership and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays baseball partnership. Some nice moments on opening night, including father and son Guerrero and Mike Trout all posing for a nice picture. A trio of 27s here tonight, and right now it's the Blue Jays 4 and the Angels 3 going to the bottom of the 8th. John Schneider making a couple of moves. And I think what's going on, so here's what's going on. Alejandro Kirk was the last batter. Danny Jansen's under the weather, so he's not able to go out and warm up a new pitcher. Dalton Varsho, who's the next catcher, the emergency guy, he was just put in the game in left field. So evidently, I didn't notice it, but I think John Schneider was out catching the warm-up pitches because he is a former catcher.
Yeah, and Varsho did it earlier in the game before he was called upon to play defense, but he's in left field now in place of Whit Merrifield, so it's all straightened out. Eric Swanson making his 5th appearance.
And Shohei Ohtani leading it off.
And he's not too happy. He just fouled that ball off his leg. Right off the shin. This ball bounced up and hit him, but it hit the ground and then bounced up and hit him right on the shin. He wears a shin guard on that front leg, but that hit on the back leg.
Down and in, a ball and a strike. Swanson, of course, a former Seattle Mariner, so he pitched in the American League West for a few years. He and Ohtani familiar with one another. Ohtani 3 for 6 against Swanson, but all of them singles. And that's there for a strike. 1-2.
Swanson pitched twice in Kansas City Tuesday and Wednesday, and he was very efficient through 5 pitches on Tuesday, just 8 on Wednesday.
Ohtani wouldn't chase the split.
John Snyder did a good job of keeping Swanson and Romano out of that game yesterday. It got a little interesting late in the game, but he was able to save them for this series here in Anaheim.
And he pokes it foul off to the left into the upper deck to stay alive. Two again. And a bouncer foul. Did a good job to get a piece of that split. He's got an itch. Don't you hate that?
Then interesting at bat, he fouled the ball off his shin, and he had an itchy shoulder.
A swinging bunt that goes foul, fortunately for the Blue Jays.
He's got that great splitter and right off the end of the bat, and yeah, you're right. If that thing stays fair, it's going to be a hit, but takes one bounce and goes into foul ground.
Boy, he puts every ounce of force within his body into every swing, and he's so strong. He swings hard. Hooks it down the right field line, and it's off the wall. Springer up with it in a hurry. The throw into second is not in time. It's a leadoff double for Ohtani.
Springer couldn't have played it any better than he did, but Ohtani runs so well. He slides in safely. What a swing, and you mentioned his swing. It was out away from him, and he was able to get the leverage on it. And look at Springer's play. Ball bounces right to him. And he makes a good throw, but it's not in time as Ohtani starts the bottom of the 8th with a double.
Here's Hunter Renfroe, 0 for 2 with a walk. Lines to left, and Varsho is right there. And gets it back in a hurry to make sure that Ohtani wasn't thinking about advancing.
I'll tell you what, Ohtani's got good speed. He went right back to tag out. And Varsho, who's just been into the game, look how he sets up and delivers a one-hop strike to third base. And he is a perfect baseball player in every regard. He just never takes anything for granted. He was thinking, hey, that's the tying run at second. I got to get it back in quickly. And he threw a one-hop strike to third.
Jake Lamb, the batter, he's 0 for 3. And that misses just inside for ball 1. Crowd came back to life here in Anaheim after that Ohtani double. Two and 0. And now 3 and 0.
Got a base open here, and I know he represents the go-ahead run, but don't give in to him.
And a fastball in the zone, 3 and 1. Brandon Drury's waiting on deck. Tying run at second, 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. And a guy with great speed out there at second base. Driven to center. Kiermaier back and makes the catch. Ohtani went back to tag and will advance to third, but a big second out in deep center.
But Bo did a good job of going out to center field deep, and Kiermaier gets pushed back almost to the warning track in the center, and Bo knew he had to go out there and get that ball from Kiermaier. Ohtani tagging at second, and watch how quickly Kiermaier gets it back. And watch where Bo is. Bo is in short, goes all the way out to get the ball to make sure Ohtani doesn't think about scoring from second base. So they get the ball back in.
Well, if you're the Blue Jays, you'll give up the 90 feet to get the second out. And now a meeting on the mound. Pete Walker is out to have a conversation about how they want to attack Brandon Drury. Jordan Romano is on the bullpen mound and putting the PitchCom receiver in his hat. Swanson trying to end the threat. 0-1. Took something off.
That first pitch splitter was a good one.
Ohtani the tying run. And the 0-1 on the way. Foul it off. Looked like the slider there, and it's 0-2.
Just enough for that break to take it off the end of the bat, and Drury found his straight back.
High fastball lifted down the right field line. Springer racing in, and he makes the catch. And the Angels do not score. One more. Blue Jays Central at 8:30. First pitch just after 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 Pacific on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Now. Jose Barrios will make his second start of the regular season. Here, 4-3 Blue Jays going to the top of the ninth. Santiago Espinal leading it off against Andrew Wantz, back out for another inning. Espinal 1 for 3. Got the last inning started with a base hit, came in to score on the Bichette homer as he is thrown out here. And the on-deck circle is still empty. It was the spot of Jordan Luplow, and I was wondering with a righty on the mound, would it be Biggio or Belt? And now here comes Cavan Biggio. So he was getting the gear and emerges onto the field, and he will pinch hit for Luplow.
Luplow 0 for 3 in his Blue Jays debut with a couple of strikeouts. So Cavan will get a chance here. Cavan homered yesterday in the 4th inning in Kansas City, and he smoked this ball over 400 feet into the Royals bullpen in deep right field. good swing by Callan. And now we're going to have a pitching coach visit as pitching coach will go out and talk about Biggio.
Matt Wise, the pitching coach for the Angels, out to the mound. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, while we have a moment, Jordan Romano will be coming in. And it's pretty good news in terms of the spot in the order, Buck. The Angels will send up 7, 8, 9. So Romano's got the bottom third of the order and even another spot to play with before Trout and Ohtani would come up.
Yeah, and you got to give credit to Jimmy Garcia and Swanson for being very efficient. They have a chance to end the game facing 7, 8, 9.
So Biggio in off the bench to bat for Luplow. And he fouls it off. It's 0-2. See Kevin Kiermaier waiting in the on-deck circle for his turn. And a swing and a miss. Chased one up and out of the zone. 2 down. So now Kiermaier, who's 1 for 3, had a base hit in the 5th. 9 hits tonight for the Blue Jays to just 3 for the Angels.
Blue Jays coming in this game had a streak of 5 straight games with double-digit hits. Just one shy of that mark tonight.
Oh, 2. And that's that. To the bottom of the 9th here at Angel Stadium. Jordan Romano coming in with a 1-run lead. With the Romano and Jansen handshake bobblehead, be one of the first 15,000 in the ballpark on a Monday, April the 24th, and you will receive this must-have collectible. Visit BlueJays.com/tickets now. Well, tonight, if it goes well, it won't be a Romano-Jansen handshake. It'll be a Romano-Kirk handshake, but the end result will be the same. And through his first 3 appearances this year, Buck, Romano has been at the peak of his powers.
Yeah, he's got 3 saves, and one of those saves, opening day, was a 1-run save. He led the majors last year with 19 1-run saves, and that's a franchise record for the Blue Jays. And that's what he's dealing with here tonight. 4-3.
Gio Urshela leads it off for the Angels, 0 for 2 with a walk. He is the number 7 hitter in their lineup. And he has popped the first pitch up into shallow center field. In comes Kiermaier, one down. Now Logan O'Hoppe, the talented young Angels catcher. He's walked twice tonight, also struck out once. And he'll take outside, ball one. A 23rd round pick by the Phillies in 2018. He was acquired in a trade for outfielder Brandon Marsh at the deadline last year.
Good looking young catcher. One of the youngest catchers to open the season with the Angels in their history, and he looks very athletic behind the plate.
And a fly ball to left center field. Varsho racing over, and he's there in plenty of time. 2 down.
You mentioned Romano's at the peak right now. He's pitching with the ultimate confidence. He's got great confidence in his fastball and certainly with his slider as well. And he can throw either pitch any time. He's going to deal with a pinch hitter now with 2 outs.
Luis Rengifo comes off the bench to bat for David Fletcher. Rengifo a year ago hit .264 with 17 home runs, so considerably more pop than Fletcher has. And a fastball fouled back. It's 0-1. The Blue Jays trailed in this one until the Bo Bichette home run in the 7th inning. And a bouncer weakly hit towards second. Espinal bare hands and gets him, and the Blue Jays win it. They come from a 3-1 deficit thanks to the Bichette home run, and Chris Bassett hanging around and getting through 6 innings, minimizing the damage, and the win streak has grown to 4.
Well, a terrific win overall for the Blue Jays, and what a way to end it. Nice barehanded play by Santiago Espinal for the final out of the ball game. How about the bullpen tonight? Jimmy Garcia, Eric Swanson, and Jordan Romano. Romano with 4 saves now leads the majors in that category, and the Blue Jays win the first game of 3 here in Anaheim, and a big home run by Bo Bichette.
They go to 5-3 on the season. A reminder, we've got another game coming your way tomorrow night. It all begins with Blue Jays Central at 8:30 Eastern. First pitch just after 9 Eastern here from Anaheim. Again, the final, the Blue Jays 4 and the Angels 3. Time now for Sportsnet Central with Kevin and Martine.